Hello, lovelies. Hello, family. This is Kimberly Purpoz, and welcome to my channel. Today, I want to do part number 2 to the Chickasaws in Alabama. This is from the Encyclopedia of Alabama, and I thought this was a good source to read from. And we started on it, so I want to go ahead and do a part 2. I believe this is a lengthy article, so this will be part 2. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get through all of this article in this video, but if not, we'll do a part 3. But this is part 2 for this particular video. And the author of this article is Greg O'Brien from University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I used the encyclopedia because a lot of young people use this particular encyclopedia, similar to do their research. And I just wanted to look at it to see how accurate it is as it pertains to the American Aborigines, the Aboriginals here in the Americas. And like I said in the previous video, a lot of stuff has been missing and is not in here. And so I was just reading through it to share it with you all and get some updates. I believe we left off with the contact with Europeans right here, because I believe we went through the first few paragraphs. But yeah, this is where we left off at. Contact with European explorers. And I also want to share another article with you all. I came across another article about the Chickasaw, and I wanted to share it with you all. But first we're going to go through, let's see how long this one is, maybe the first, 2 paragraphs here, and I'll show you the other article. It says here, contacts with European explorers. The Chickasaws' first interactions with Europeans occurred during the winter of 1540 through 1541, when they repeatedly attacked the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto and his expedition until they moved west across the Mississippi River, culminating in a major engagement on March 4, 1541. When the Chickasaws nearly overran Soto's force and killed 12 Spaniards and 56 horses and 100 pigs, those brief encounters were the only significant contact that the Chickasaws had with Europeans until the founding of Charleston in Carolina by the English in 1670. And see, this is how long they kept them away, the Greys, off of their land. See, that's over 100 years. That's what I was telling you, that, the indigenous people really fought hard to keep their land, and they weren't able to do anything for 100 years, so they kept them away. So I just want y'all to notice those dates. And it says here, British traders sought to trade guns, metals, goods, manufactured clothes, and other items with the Chickasaws for deerskins and Indian captives who were sold as slaves on sugar plantations in the Caribbean. The Chickasaws became prominent slave traders, their wealth and political position and middlemen between the British and other tribes. English explorers and traders who had established a presence on the Gulf Coast chose to trade with their principal Indian allies, the Choctaws, to the dismay of the Chickasaws. Partly for this reason, around 200 Chickasaws led by Chief Squirrel King, I read this paragraph. I'm sorry, you guys. I'll probably edit this part out. Relocated further east on the Savannah River in the 1720s to the nearer of English and their trade goods. And then it says here, conflict with the Choctaws and the French. The Choctaws' close relationship with the English led the French under John Baptist Lepomoy de Bienville into the conflict with the tribe that lasted for several decades and had ruined effects. The French colonial government could not afford to trade with all Indians in the lower Mississippi Valley, and they chose to cut off losses by cultivating large Choctaw populations as allies to the exclusion of smaller groups such as Chickasaws. Beginning in the 1720s, the Chickasaws fought conflict with the French, and the Choctaws allies and the Choctaw warriors killed French fur traders, whom they and the English accused of being spies. In retaliation, the French provided more guns and ammunition for the Choctaws and encouraged them to attack the Chickasaws. All the Choctaws assaulted was repelled by the Chickasaw, who went into offensive and cut off all French shipping on the Mississippi River. The Chickasaws and the Choctaws established peace in 1724, and the French agreed to abide by the new agreement in 1725. Y'all notice the dates here? Y'all notice the dates up right here. This is during the 1724, 1725. What they were doing was putting the Indians against each other, and they were capturing slaves. If you go back up here, they were capturing slaves. I believe it's in one of these paragraphs where they were attacking other Indian tribes. Chickasaws became prominent slave traders with early colonials at the expense of their Indian neighbors. See, it's right here, at the expense of the Indian neighbors. So these slaves that they were capturing in those days were actually American Aboriginal slaves that were other Indians that were nearby. And I read another article from another encyclopedia. I believe it was Georgia. They were showing Georgia and Alabama that the Cherokee were always trying to get away because they were capturing a lot of their people and putting them in slavery. That is mentioned in the Georgia's encyclopedia. About the Cherokee Indians. And see, these Indians were close and they were put against each other by the Greys and for guns. And that's how a lot of people were enslaved here. And then you see how right here, these treaties, they started. You start seeing a bunch of these treaties between the Europeans and the Indians in the 1725. And a lot of these treaties have been broken and have not been honored by the Europeans, and that has been a very serious problem. And it says here, see, you got to read between the lines and get into the focus on the dates, okay? The dates and the timeline sometimes give you more insight as to what took place. It says the peace agreement that short-lived, however, in November 1729, the Natchez Indians rebelled against the French settlers in their midst, killing more than 200 of them. And you see, they were fighting them. The Europeans, they weren't sitting still. It says here, when the French retaliated in force, they killed many of the Natchez and took more in as prisoners. See? As prisoners. We got to keep that in mind. I remember Thompson's one doing a video about the Natchez Indians, and he mentioned too that a lot of the Natchez Indians were tortured and mistreated during slavery. And he believes, I remember him mentioning something about the slaves that were in Natchez might have been Indians that were prisoners of war. And I find it interesting they mentioned they were prisoners of war. If you see these Indians were prisoners of war, more than likely they went into slavery. And this is what's missing in a lot of these articles, that specific detail that they were capturing a lot of these Indians and putting them into slavery. Because when we did our research on slavevoyage.org, we noticed that there weren't that many African slaves that were imported. They said it wasn't no more than up to 300,000. And of course, when you look at the rough estimates that they have, they always inflate it to 18 million slaves, But in America, it wasn't that many that was brought over. And you wonder, okay, what if it wasn't as many Africans that were brought over, then where did they get these numbers from? Because there's some discrepancies in these numbers. And so they had these prisoners here, and a lot of these prisoners were put into slavery. And it says here, because I think they did a genocide, and I need to research that date to see when they but it'll be interesting to see if there's a correlation between the slaves that's in Natchez, Mississippi, and the Natchez Indians. Maybe a correlation. Who knows? I'm gonna have to do some more research. I'm just wondering, you know, because they did. I'm gonna have to do some research. I'm gonna come back to that. I may do the Natchez Indians on another video to spend some of my theories, to research my theories. But I'm just wondering, a lot of, because they said that Punch Bowl, I think it's the Natchez Punch Bowl, where they tortured a bunch of the indigenous. They say they were slaves, but they were indigenous people, and I guess they was trying to retaliate against the Indians for attacking, for fighting them a long time ago, and that's why they did what they did. But it would be interesting to see if the Natchez prisoners of war were the same slaves that were captured and thrown into slavery. Just a thought. Just a thought. Just wondering. I'm going to research that. And if anybody knows for sure, please put in a comment below. It would be nice to know if the Natchez Indians who were caught in the prisoners of war, maybe there's some sort of connection there. It would be good to know if they could have been part of the Indians that were in slavery, and it just so happened they was in slavery for so long because of the prisoner wars, the Indian wars, that they forgot their identity. But it says here, but the Greys didn't remember, obviously. But it says Natchez survivors were forced to abandon their home territory, which makes sense, and many of them sought refuge among the Chickasaws, and sometimes around 1730 or 1731 in what is now Lee County, Mississippi, further angering the French. See? And it says here, in 1736, the French and Choctaws launched a coordinated attack from the north and south against Chickasaws villages in northeast Mississippi that failed miserably, despite a nearly 3-1 advantage over the defenders. And it says in 1739, the French mounted a new effort against the Chickasaws, establishing peace with the Choctaws during the French and the Indian War. They say peace, but I don't believe it one bit, because they didn't follow none of the treaties or anything that they put together. So it's probably never peaceful, as they claim. If it, maybe it was peaceful to the Greys because it was beneficial for them, but it was probably never beneficial to the indigenous people. And it says ending decades of conflict and a British defeat of the French in 1763 and removed them as a threat. The Chickasaw had survived France's attempt to destroy them, but their population had dropped dramatically, about 3,000 during the period as a result of the warfare. You're right. I believe that they dropped, it's not just the warfare. Yeah, it did drop up because of warfare. That makes sense. But they didn't explain in this paragraph warfare. The warfare was that they captured them and made them prisoners of war. And the information that is oftentimes absent from these encyclopedias and a lot of books that are mass produced by the Greys is leaving out that important information that the prisoners of war are actually the slaves, the American Aborigines. That's what they leave out. They don't want people to know that they did, all they did was reclassify. They might, yes, I believe a lot of them died, but I also believe that they captured, because it's mentioned in this paragraph that they had prisoners of war. Here there are more prisoners. They captured, and in these wars, they captured a lot of the Indians as prisoners. And when they captured and defeated a lot of these tribes, they captured the men and the women and the children and threw them into slavery. And that's their former prisoners, And when you think of it, how they're doing it today, just like today, they capture the police patrol. They use the police patrol, which is the police officers, to capture people for stupid stuff, for nonviolent crimes, pretty much. And they make up stuff along the way like they did in the past. The difference is not because of warfare, but this today is more of pulling them over due to racially profiling them, capturing them for no reason, and throwing them into slavery and creating stuff, planting drugs and stuff, for example, creating things to throw them in prison, and then forcing them into free labor, which is another form of modern day slavery. It's not too far different from what they're doing in here. And if they did the Indians that way, capturing them as prisoners, they're doing the American Aborigines the same way, which is the AKA African American, throwing them into prison as well, so they can get free labor, which is another form of slavery. So all of this is evident that these people, these Indians that they capture, are us, pretty much. And they claim that their population drop is because they don't want them to be identified as being indigenous here, as American Aboriginal Indians, the Negro Indians, because they know they owe the American Aborigines trillions. I would say more than billions. They owe us this whole country. But really, they don't owe more than owe us. It's just, this is our land. So if this is our land and they trying to hide it, what better way is to not put it in here and try to erase it and act like it didn't exist, when in actuality it did exist. And we see it right here. Warfare, constant 3,000 years, 3,000 during the period of warfare. More than likely those 3,000, or at least half of those 3,000, were slaves. At least, I would say. And that they pretty much distributed throughout the Americas, and probably sent them through the transatlantic as well. And I know at one point they always loved to send a bunch of slaves over to the Caribbean and then bring them in and reclassify them. And it makes more sense because if you read more books and more studies and research, you keep on hearing about the Africans that were brought over that died during the voyage, because they didn't have the technology like they do now to have massive ships with engines to bring over high volumes of people like that. And the slavevoyage.org is showing that they didn't send it, bring that me. And then if they don't have the technology to bring over millions of people, as many as they claim that survived, because, they didn't have refrigeration back then. You didn't have a way of storing food. You had to be on a boat for a long period of time. And then in cramped quarters, the way they draw, it just doesn't make no sense. And so where they can't even produce all the boats. And where are the engines? I keep on repeating myself on that. Where are the engines? So like I said, we were already over here as, Negroes were already over here. And it just makes more sense to capture the Negroes. It's easier. And if these group of people were too lazy to grow and harvest their own food, and it makes sense to get the indigenous people that are already over here and know how to grow crops. And everybody know that the Indians, the Aborigines on the East Coast, were notorious for learning how to grow food on farmlands, because they were doing that right then. When the indigenous people came, when the Europeans came over, they saw them having farms and villages already. So they already were growing their own fruits, and they're very knowledgeable about the crops that were grown here already. So why would you go and get Africans all the way across the Atlantic when you got Negroes already over here? And they already described them in the 1500s as being Negroes. But anyway, I can go on and on. And they're going to talk about the revolution. But I wanted to share before I go into that, because I know this is lengthy. I might have to do another video, because I can go on and on about this topic. Yeah, this is a long article. We're going to stop at the American Revolution. I want to share this other article with you all, because I wanted to show you who the American Aborigines are. Here's one right here. And they did an article in this article. I'm not sure who he is. I came across this article before, and I saw him, and I said, "Whoa, he looked like one of us. He looks like, if you look at him, he look like an African American. Same hair texture, the skin complexion, all the features of being African American. He look like he could be my brother or one of my cousins, one of my relatives. You know, as a matter of fact, he sort of favor my brother." But like I said, this guy right here looks more like the true American Aborigines of the tribes, and this is what should be in there. But we don't see that in a lot of these $5 and these federally recognized tribes. But I'm not sure who he is. But let's see what he says. Chickasaw candidate faces question about tribal connections. See? And this is so sad. He's more than likely 100% American Aboriginal. And see, and they questioning him because he have Negro features. But when in actuality, the original people that were in these tribes were American Aboriginal. You see? And I just wanted to show you all, you know, this is ridiculous. And this is what we all have to go through, is fight for our identity, you know? And it's not right. And the only reason why they're doing that is because they're racist. They don't want to see the original people reconnect to their indigenous roots. And these half-breeds and these $5 Indians are in these tribes, and they're the ones that are not supposed to be in there. Okay, especially the $5 Indians. And they want to kick them out. Don't want him running and have no leadership role. And it is ran by the Greys, this government. And so if they over these federally recognized tribes and they're putting themselves in there, of course they're not going to want him in there. But it says here, let's find out who this guy is. Okay. His name is, let's go back over here. T.W. Shannon, a member of the Chickasaw Nation, was launched an historic campaign for the U.S. Senate seat in Oklahoma, but not all of his fellow Republicans are on board. Tea Party activists claim Shannon can't be trusted due to his tribal citizenship and his ties to Rep. Tom Cole, Republican Oklahoma, also Chickasaw. The sentiment was then reflected in a Facebook post by a prominent supporter of Representative Jane Langford, Republican running for the seat. By the way, the Indians aren't Oklahomans. Rancher Robert Dan Robbins wrote, the New York Times reported that they are members of their own nation and are suing to the state of Oklahoma over water rights and other things as well. And it says Shannon has made no secret of his Chickasaw ancestry, but he tells the Times, "I am an American first, and that's the most important thing." The tribe supports Shannon Gov bill autonomy told the Oklahoma last month, but appears to be keeping its distance, at least in terms of money. The tribe has not contributed to his campaign, the paper noted. Wow. See? The betrayal. And it says here, an elected Shannon would be the third enrolled tribal member in Congress. Besides Cole, these reps, Mark Wayne Mullen, a Republican Oklahoma, a member of the Cherokee Nation. This is crazy. And since Shannon also, I'm sorry, you guys. Shannon has, let me go down. Shannon will also only be the first federally recognized tribal member to serve in the Senate in the last 100 years. Former Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell, a member of the Northern Cheyenne tribe, was the first. The Senate seat is open due to retirement and early departure of Senator Tom Corbin, a former member of the Senate Indian Affairs Committee. Wow. And they question his connection to the tribe. And I sometimes wonder, is it because of how he looked? Because he does look like a Negro. And I wanted to show y'all to him because I was really happy to see this. Okay? Now, this is what a true American Aborigine is supposed to look like. Okay. And these are the ones they try to hide and keep out of the tribes. And I found it interesting they didn't give him support, even though he's doing something big. I have to do some more research on him. I'm not sure if he even won, but I know he ran for Congress, which is outstanding. But I wanted to share this article with him and see and show how they're still fussing about letting uh, trying to be inclusive of the American Aborigines into these federal recognized tribes. And I was talking to you guys about how, when formulating a tribe, it might not even be wise to be federal recognized. Now I'm starting to wonder about the UN as well, but just us connecting together and connected to our indigenous roots is very important, you know. But I just wanted to show you this article. Now, if you see him, that's an American Aborigine right there. And that's how all the Indians, it's supposed to be his color or darker. They supposed to be this complex, darker, but he has more Negro features than the ones that they already have in there. And they already trying to challenge him on who he is. And it's funny how they challenging the 100% Indians and the half-breeds and the $5 are not being questioned when they're the main ones that are not the original people. And you're not going to see them in these trials because they took them off, most of them off during Dawes Commission. Okay? Doing all these treaties and policies and regulations that they were passing, they were finding ways to brainwash history. But I wanted to share that with you all. But yes, let me go back to this particular article in the encyclopedia. But yeah, I'm gonna have to research this other Shannon, I believe that's his name, T.W. Shannon, the guy who's running for Congress. That was back in 2014. I'm not sure if he even won or not, but it'll be interesting to know. I'm gonna research it to see. But I just wanted to share the article because I saw that he looked a lot like us, African Americans. He's he's in one of these tribes, and they're questioning his history, questioning his heritage, and it's really sad that that is really happening. But this is going to be the conclusion of this video. I'm going to more than likely do a part 3 to the Chickasaws in Alabama and Mississippi. If you, please thumbs up this video. Thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this video. And also check out my website, the Purpose Counseling and Wellness Center. I have a doing anger management classes on my in the institute, the school that I developed, and I'm gonna be putting up more counseling and wellness videos, and also some videos about our indigenous heritage. They'll be up there as well. And also I'm gonna be putting some videos up on Patreon if y'all want to join my Patreon. But these gonna be videos about more about how to, starting a tribe and how to reconnect more to tribes and developing our own tribe, because it's time. I'm hearing about there's tribes that's already in existence, and maybe formulating an organization that can assist with that. If you all want to be a part of that, please continue to email me. I got you all, the ones who contacted me before, I'll be emailing you all back. But yeah, I'm still working on some projects, and I'll keep you guys posted. And I'm just learning new things. As I learn new things, I'll let you all know, because I'm still doing research and learning myself. So yeah, but I enjoy hearing from you guys, and I will until next time, peace, love and peace, you guys. And till next time, peace. Bye-bye.